And they are lots of different surfaces on these paintings. They have rust on them, they have encaustic, which is beeswax, as well as different metallic paints as well, like pewter and silver. So, and I love these kinds of groupings because they allow me to really collaborate with the space by painting them in different configurations. So, all right, back to me. So we're going to take a little walk, and we're going to just go, just kind of do the paintings that are on my studio wall, I guess. I'm going to start with this one right now because I've been experimenting with aluminum this last week. And this is like just a painting without any encaustic paint on it. But I'm just going to grab this painting here. So this one is finished, and it's meant to hang on the wall. And this is aluminum sheeting that I'm bending and twisting. So this is kind of my newest thing. This is, I would call this my social distancing, working from home experimentation that I'm just starting to do, because it's those things that you've always wanted to do when you have time. Well, now I have the time. So anyway, just a little segue on that. Okay, going good over there? Everybody can hear me? Wave if you can hear me. Okay. So this is another grouping of discs, and I love experimenting with different kinds of color palettes, especially. These range in size 20 inches to 8 inches, and they're held on the wall using a acrylic box that elevates it. And I like that idea of painting meeting sculpture in a way. And there's a metallic painting underneath all of these so that the beeswax adheres, because I'm using acrylic panels, and the acrylic panels are not porous. So beeswax needs to be painted with rigid substrates, so that's why I choose the acrylic, but you have to make sure that the wax sticks to it. So I use this metallic paint. So,
Jodi, can you go back? Holly was wondering what the substrate was on the metal one.
Okay. Yeah, let's go back to that really quick. So I'm like a little embarrassed, but not too embarrassed, but I'm always at the hardware store, and and I'm always on the lookout for different materials that I can use in my sculpture. So this aluminum venting is actually dryer venting that I am cutting into pieces, and it's very easy to and malleable to move around. So I'm attaching it to sort of a backer substrate, and then I put down one of the pieces and then just kind of keep going from there and keep building, almost like a collage of metal. That's kind of how I'm working with that. So does that answer the question? Okay. All right. So let's move on. So my work is always nature-based, and I like to say whether that's more representational or more abstract. So this is more representational, and these photographs were taken at the Minnesota Landscape Arboretum in Chanhassen. And I'm using beeswax on the painting. So I'm printing on tissue paper, running it through my printer, and then you're basically using the wax to glue, and also use the paint underneath it too. So you could, there's lots of layers on this with having the color kind of come through the tissue, and then I'm also working on top of the painting as well. So I love to work in different sizes. This is a 24 by 24, so I have a lot of paintings leaning against my wall right now. So there's plenty to look at as far as that goes. But yeah, let's move on. So this is another in that series. The flowers themselves are probably like 3 inches tall. So I really like that idea of giving you the sense of kind of magnum large flowers, and almost like it would encompass you when you walk up to it physically. So this painting is 36 by 48 inches. And to work this large, I had to print each image in a section and glue those sections together, basically. So like one part would be the size, because it would go through my printer at that size, and this whole painting was created using 8 different printouts. But basically I can print and make a painting as large as I want because of that possibility. So it's kind of fun. This is, I usually don't work as large as this, but working with photography allows me to do that. So it's been fun to do that. Okay. So we're moving on, and actually I've got this little painting around the corner here This is a painting that I'm using different surface materials like shellac, copper that oxidizes, as well as graphite. And hopefully you can see the detailing on these, but there is an underpainting of an India ink, kind of a splatter painting that I'm using to start. And then using encaustic paint over that and building up different textures. This is a nice long one. It's 12 by 48 inches. And I love to work in series. So this is one painting of 4 that I had done kind of in this vertical format. Okay, so we'll just kind of keep moving on. These paintings are 12 by 12 inches, and I love working in grids especially. So this is kind of my way of working on a lot of ideas at once that then it creates a whole painting when you're finished. And these again are the photo encaustic paintings. And I'd like to take a big close-up. So these could just be a little remnant of a bigger photograph that I took, but I like the detailing of it, or just to be able to focus on like one single flower is nice, just to really call attention to that. And now for something completely different, as I like to say, these are landscapes, and back and forth throughout my art career, I've kind of, as I call this, the pendulum swings back and forth. And right now I'm into a little bit more representational, and the landscapes have always been a theme in my work. And the idea is that I like this idea of macro and micro, so that on this one, these paintings, these landscapes, you can see the trees in the distance, and you're sort of seeing this whole feeling of the area. And then I also like to focus on leaves and trees and seeds. So that's the micro idea. So I'm kind of always expanding that idea in that umbrella of nature-based works that, you know, the seeds, the leaves, and the trees, just to kind of combine them as an idea and really push it to in different ways. So these paintings are encaustic on encaustic board panel by Ampersand. And they are making the surface, which is perfect for encaustic painting because it is very absorbent. And it's also recommended that you work on rigid substrates when you're working with encaustic paint, just so that it has a nice solid base with that. And a little history about the encaustic painting is it's an ancient medium, and the Romans used it to seal their ships. And so I just love the tradition of that, especially. And now we're using it in modern times just to make artwork with it. So it's been around for a long time, and I love the tradition of that. So anyway, just a little history about that. So encaustic paint consists of beeswax, pigment, and a varnish. And the varnish really helps make the paint more durable, almost elevating it to an art material versus just, you know, pure beeswax by itself. Okay. Now, I didn't cover this painting. So this painting is called Daisies. It's an 18 by 18 inch painting. And what I liked about this was I made a mistake, so to speak, where I had a painting underneath it that I wasn't really that happy with. And I just decided to use that underneath and cover it up. So by doing that, it ended up creating this depth that I wouldn't normally have experimented with, just sort of these shadows of a previous print underneath it. And so now I'm kind of doing that on purpose. I love, as an artist, I love to have these things that happen that maybe are something you don't intend, but then it's like an exciting departure that normally wouldn't happen unless you sort of made a mistake. I like that possibility.
So Betsy had a question about, are you familiar with the works or the Poetics of Space by Gaston Bachelard? The idea of micro as the macro.
Oh, no, I'm not, Betsy. Thank you very much for that. I'll definitely check that out. That's like a great reference. Sounds good. Because I'm just making this up as I go, but it's always nice to hear if somebody's already thought of this idea and actually written a book. So I definitely will check that out. I appreciate that. Okay, moving on. This painting is of a hosta plant, and it's a huge focus on this 36 by 48 inch painting, and just really going in deep with the detailing of it. And the wax obscures the image a little bit, which I love. And this photograph also, since it was taken as a close-up and then blown up, it sort of gotten abstracted as well. So I love working with texture with beeswax. You can really do a lot of layers and build up the textures with that. So working larger really allows me to do that. Okay. We're just kind of going down the line here. So this is another one of my groupings, and I call this the mini modern series. And mini just because these small pieces are more like 5 inches versus like 8 inches, which is a larger size. And then the larger disc on this is 12 inches. And I love the idea of having all these different smaller possibilities that really create this whole grouping. And maybe Marcus, you can go up on this one just to show the detailing. So that's a metallic paint over encaustic, and the beeswax is what creates the texture underneath. And then I'm working with the metallic to kind of bring out that texture. All right, and last but not least, this is a painting that kind of the same idea, but I call this Morning, and it has a lot of different blues underneath it as an underpainting before I added the tissue paper. And so I feel like all those blues kind of shine through with the texture that I created and also the translucency. And I typically work on cradled panels, which you'll see there's an edge to the paintings, and that way they can be finished or you can frame them later on as well. But it just sort of allows it to be finished, and then it can also stain the sides so that the staining of the sides matches the painting in a way as a frame. So just a little aside on why I always work like that. So, all right. So does anyone have any other questions or comments right now?
No, just some comments that people really love the texture.
Okay. Okay, great. I'm kind of checking with my tech people. So, well, I just wanted to mark the occasion this year. I really have enjoyed being in this building as a co-op member. And since it's my 15th anniversary, I just thought I wanted to do a little celebration. So I really appreciate you joining me tonight. And I think that's going to be it. So, oh, one more question. Okay.
Yeah, Lynn was asking, do you use silver leaf at all?
Yes, I do. I use metallic leafing on a lot of my paintings. Using beeswax, especially, you can heat that up because you have to work with it molten, and the metal leafing sticks to it really well as a binder. So you don't even have to use a glue or anything. So it's great. Like I use an imitation golden leaf as well as copper leafing too. So yes. All right, well, I thank you all for joining me tonight. I'll have this recording available later, but hopefully you can enjoy this beautiful night in Minneapolis, and I thank you for joining me.